배달물 보관하겠습니다.
Oh, okay.
7K Dreamer, please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be checking out Mythical Awakened Bael Special Dungeon. She has some crazy skill sets to deal with, so here we're gonna look at the overall skill set first. For her passive, she does decrease all damage taken. She also applies isolation when attacked, which is kind of like red grid. And of course, we remember how annoying that was. And she also survives on 1 HP and does a HP swap, so I think we all know who to bring if you don't want the HP swap to actually happen, right? Moving on, for skill 1, she deals 300% magic damage to 5 enemies, 80% chance to paralyze, and also decrease buff duration. Second skill also decreases buff duration and does ignore defense. For her awaken skill, she will eliminate the enemy with the highest attack. So that means your DPS is in danger, but she does take a while to charge the awaken gauge, so it's not too threatening and you can actually reduce the awakening gauge. Okay, so that is why the team I'll be introducing is actually the offensive team here: Mei, Colt, Fenrir, Shoot, and Red Grid. So you don't really need a debuffer actually, because as you can see, Mei hits very hard, right? So for Mei, mine is actually geared with double speed, double HP. Poorer HP armor is better, okay, but I don't think it makes a difference here. You don't even give her HP armor. Standard jewels, crit damage, lethal damage increase, physical attack increase, and skill cooldown or whatever. Awakening gauge is fine as well. Honestly, because the run is so short, it really doesn't matter. Unless you do face some trouble, then I think skill cooldown or increased awakening gauge jewel is much better. For her accessory, increased damage on magic enemies with Berserker Ring, and for her traits, I didn't exactly change them because they're still on whatever I use for item rate. Okay. For Cult and the front line, they're all in defensive builds, basically HP armor, Willful Ring, and defensive jewels, that's all. And you see that I'm actually using a PvE version of Cult and Fenrir, which means they are not even plus 10. And what I feel is that if you're using PvE support heroes, they really don't have to be plus 10 unless you're using them in PvP. So for newer returning players, please bear that in mind. You don't actually have to pump resources into your support line. Okay. For Truth, I'm using her because she can reduce awakening gauge on her bottom skill, and that's actually pretty useful. Every new and returning player has a Truth, so you should be able to use her ability to reduce awakening gauge and not be eliminated. And as for Red Grid, she's here to buff the physical attack, but you need 4 offensive heroes on the team, and that is why there are 4 offensive heroes, and that is why I decided to go with this team. Now if you use Dylan's, that's also possible because Dylan's will reduce Bael's defense by 2000, and currently here we only have Colt who is doing the reduction, but it really doesn't matter as you saw, right? So we're gonna head into the run. This is not one of the fastest runs because my Mei didn't exactly proc the effect attack properly. Sometimes she may proc effect attacks, but they don't have crit or certain lethal multipliers, and then you're gonna have an issue. And it turns out that I do get affected by the isolation here, so I cannot kill Bael immediately. Thankfully, she does use her effect attack here. So over here, this is very interesting. Bael actually crashed into my Truth and she died to reflect. So this was the faster run. This run took like what, 5 seconds? And this is another run where I tried to test whether Truth's reduced awakening gauge effect can actually work. And yeah, it took me a while, wasted so many keys just to get a run that Mei didn't kill Bael immediately. Yeah, so Reflect works too, so it's great against those 1 HP surviving heroes. Yeah, and you'll see that the awakening gauge does get reduced by half or so, even though it's supposed to be 5 gauges, but I think this is too short to be 5 gauges, so it just reduced by a little. But there is reduction for sure, okay? So use that when you think the time is right, especially if you don't have enough damage to kill Bael straight away. And yeah, with that, I think you shouldn't have too much issues because of the physical attack buff that really helps Mei in terms of her damage output. And here Fenrir finishes. And with this dungeon, you do get her spider web, I think, and power of crystals. So if you're thinking of using a magic team, it's also possible. So the magic team is actually as such, I'm using Valika. I mean, if you don't really want to change your team, because the front line is something that I've been using for the chip dungeon as well as the hero dungeon. So if you don't really want to change, you can just swap away your DPS. You can also use Galadas for sure. But over here, my Velica is geared with double lethal, poor HP, standard jewels, and frontline is also, of course, on HP armor, willful ring, and defensive jewels. You may want to use Fenrir here instead of Regenlave, okay? But I'm just trying to prove a point that you do really want Fenrir, and if you don't want to change your frontline because of the other dungeons, then you will face some trouble.
피할 수 있을까?
가라! 맛있게 요리하겠죠? 형태를
And of course here, full paralysis. This is also why you need the traits for paralysis, or you need cult, okay? So the Mei team is definitely more superior than the magic team. So just in case, you gave your entire magic team paralysis in resistance, you can proceed as per normal, use Yuri's bottom skill, Velica's top skill, and then Velica's bottom skill to attack. Technically, with this amount of power, she should drop, okay? She should drop.
생과 사이 모두 내가 결정할 일입니다. 자,
But take note that without Fenrir, she will activate the HP swap.
안녕.
So here's where it happens. And she actually swapped HP with Regenlave somehow. So yeah. Thankfully not Velica though. So yeah. You kill her with the Awaken skill, and with that you end the dungeon, and you can synthesize for her after 30 days, so start doing your runs today, otherwise you will lose out and miss out on a great opportunity to get such a strong hero. And let me know what you think of Bael and her dungeon. Big shout out to my channel members ZMD Phoenix, Yamaki, Hibiku, and Reggie Bautista for the support. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you so much and see you!